Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube Mile Builders Thursday night general hangout. Thursday's hangouts are for the general discussion on mile railroading that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. Thursday's hangouts are the proud sponsor of the Tuesday night presentations, the YouTube Mile Builders, eMag, and the YouTube Mile Builders live show. I want to say thanks for everybody joining in tonight's show. And here's your host for the night, Johnny Reb of Southeast Rails. Hello everybody. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Let me get over here where I can see the live chat. Alright, let's see, we got Stu, Dave, Kenneth, Ari, David, Jerry. How y'all doing? We got Josh over here working on his layout. Hope he don't break into a table dance being up there. We got AJ and Marty here from Australia. Let's see who's coming in. Oh, there's Andy.
Howdy, boys.
How you doing? Want to do something a little bit different here in the beginning. Let's get over here back on the community page. Want to let you guys know a few people will be checking out. It's got some pretty interesting stuff. Got Andrew down here. We've seen this bridge before. It's the Nicholson Bridge, and that bad boy's 25 feet long. He's building it in modules to take to shows. I mean, it's nice looking. He's still working on it, putting scenery and stuff down. Looks like Mr. Ken over here is getting back to his layout. Like to see the progress on that. And Mr. AJ, yeah, he's got him a new project that he's going to be talking about tonight, so you can see that there. Let's see, there's another guy here. Yeah, Ron's trains in things because he's an N scaler. He's been putting up some videos here, pretty interesting. You might want to check him out. And our good buddy Chris Rude, he is in the process of building his DCC++. Who all else we got here? BNSF guy 617. He's all time doing something. He's worthwhile checking out. Of course, Phil was asking about LEDs for lights on a locomotive, I think it was. About the resistors. Oh yeah, Marty 1107. He's if you're interested in Raspberry Pi with the Sprague for a DCC system, he's got his video up now, so be sure and check him out. Steve Spence, he's another one to look at. You ready? Let's I don't know why I'm scrolling it all the way up.
Steve Spence had a real good post. I think I'm going to buy a couple of those things he was recommending. Those 2-channel IR detector boards. Since Chris Hiley on his Arduino show is going to do the speedometer here, so that what he posted on the G Plus community page would sure clean up the wiring. So I'm going to order them and hopefully get them before that project.
Yeah. You know, I had the feeling if I was showing his post off, he might sneak in here, and lo and behold, I come back to screen and here he is. How you doing, Ron?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, fine.
What are you showing off? I missed something.
Just showing off your post. Your video.
Which one was that?
Just in general.
Oh, okay. Well,
just
hey,
letting people know that you're putting videos out. Go check them out.
Never complain about free publicity. Appreciate that.
At least not the good kind. This is the good kind.
Well, you know, the old adage is there's no such thing as bad publicity. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've heard him say.
Yeah.
It's true in certain cases. I'm not so sure if that's true for model railroaders. I'm not
Probably
positive.
not. Probably not.
Well, looks like I might have a new fella in here tonight. Joey, 3292. Joe says he's from Rock Island Country in New York. So, how you doing, Joe? Welcome to the show. Hope you enjoy it. There's Jerry. Ron, will your elevating flex track work as well with Kato's standard curves?
Oh, the super elevation. I just did a video on easements and super elevation. I assume he's talking about like Kato, like Unitrack.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never really worked with any Kato Unitrack. I'm not sure how you'd get enough flexibility to really get a super elevation on that, but I'm just guessing because I've never really worked with any. I did have somebody asking me on that video if you could do it with sectional track, and you can do it with sectional track. It's a little more difficult naturally, but if you work real hard at it, you can. But I don't know. Somebody who's actually worked with Unitrack probably be a better resource there than I would, because I've never touched any of it.
Yeah. Stu Structures, he said we did an 8-foot bridge years ago for a modular. Even that was big, but 25 feet, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bad boy. All right, David Knight said that Kato does make us super elevated.
Oh, they do. Cool. Good for them. I was going to say, somebody who would probably know more about that than I would be Mike Pfeiffer. His in-scale layout's all done with Kato Unitrack. He would probably have a better idea what you could do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. AJ has been feverishly working here lately. I think I'm going to go ahead and let him do his little show and tell.
Good evening, all.
So I'll go ahead and put you on up to where people can see you better. Andy, I think I'm getting feedback from you.
Okay. So, the professor's, I think it was Chicago Fork HO scale, he built using nothing but foam core. And it kind of got my brain going as a lightweight way of building a modular layout. I really didn't need it for my apartment yet. But my modular club, which has a huge layout, when we had our show back in May, a lot of the people were enamored by the layout, but they were also intimidated by it. So my idea is to show that you can actually build a small layout for the home without needing to buy lots of lumber, without having to do, with power tools and stuff. It's all foam core. And what we have here on the camera is based on the original design from the professor. And it's perfect for, what I have here is O scale and HO scale on display there. The scene area is 20 inches high by 16 inches deep. So plenty of space for either scale. You can have towering scenery, towering buildings. And tonight I finished this version. Is this on camera?
Yeah.
Let me move so that I can actually see the screen and the camera at the same time. This version is smaller without the canopy top, and it's pretty good for HO or N scale. And I think I'm just going to set this up, leave it open grid as it is right now, so they can see how it's constructed, and just put down 2 temporary tracks with models on it, so that visitors to our layout, which we're hoping to display, I think, in November next, will be able to see that you can have a layout without going insane with lumber and power tools, which a lot of modelers who live in apartments do not have access to power tools.
Yeah. Another thing too, on something that small right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that may work out just fine for like John Armstrong's well, shucks, time saver, or
John Allen.
John Allen, yeah. Also, there's another one out there called the Switchman Nightmare. Somebody mentioned a while back on one of the shows, and I went and looked at that.
So
that was pretty interesting too. You could do on a small layout,
or even
or the Eagle
Nook. Yeah.
Yeah. Eagle Nooks are really popular these days. Their micro layout. I think one of the Eagle Nook styles.
Yeah, Andy, your audio's trying real hard to go digital. I mean, we could understand you, but there's a lot of popping in there.
The bigger layout took me, oh gosh, probably about 6 hours to construct, nonstop. And the little one took me 2.5 hours tonight. It would have taken me less than 2 hours, except for the fact that I was waiting for my hot glue gun to warm up. When you plug something into a power strip, make sure you turn the power strip on first.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I forgot to, turn on the power strip. So I'm sitting there, I'm waiting impatiently. I'm using one of those butane lighter thingies for a barbecue to warm up the tip, hoping that would help speed it up. And then it's like, I'm looking up and I see that the lights, the Christmas lights that I have in the apartment, they aren't lit up. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I had a senior moment.
Yes, that's the reason why on my power strip, I've got the fan on it too.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sit down, if that fan's not running, I am going to turn that power strip on. Of course, I'm kind of adding more lights to my work table too, so they're all on the power strip. So I know when I get in there if it's on or not. You have any idea what you're going to do with this when you're showing now, that, what kind of track or kind of a freelance type switching or what?
I think I'm just going to put down a simple piece of track, sectional track, whatever I have available, and just put up trains in the 2 scales where they are now for display, so you get the idea of what scale could fit into this space. It won't be operating, at least I don't think it's going to be operating between now and then. I still have other things to build.
Yeah.
But at least it gives people the idea that you can have a layout without a huge investment of money and needing 10,000 power tools and everything else that people associate with a huge layout. In fact, you don't even need a huge layout. The big one is 36 inches long. The small one is 30 inches. Yeah, 30 inches long. That's the size of the foam core pieces that I bought.
Yeah, Jerry was asking, is that foam 1 inch? And know that what AJ's using here is actually foam core. And what was the thickness again on that, AJ?
Oh goodness, I don't recall the thicknesses, but
about 1/4 inch, isn't it?
I think it's 5/16.
It's 2 different thicknesses. At Walmart, I can only find the thin stuff, which is like, I guess it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. And at Hobby Lobby, I found the thicker 1/4 inch. And so I used the 1/4 inch for the outside edges of the big one and the 3 supports on the small one. and everything else is the thinner stuff.
Yeah. Because actually, yeah, if all you got's the thinner stuff where you're putting your cross braces in there, you could use the thinner stuff because it's vertical. It's going to handle, you know, more weight than what you think it will. It'll give you some pretty good support.
True.
Yeah, as long as it's, say, you know, at least 3-4 inches or more, you know, high, wide.
Right. The small one is 4 inches, and the base on the big one is 6 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, if you space them, say, about 10 inches apart, something like that, that'll give you some pretty good support in there.
Not sure what I have these spacings on here. I'm not sure what happened to my tape measure.
Yeah,
okay.
I couldn't tell you.
Johnny hid it from you.
Has anyone seen my tape measure?
Yeah, Josh has probably got it over on his layout somewhere. He's good about snatching stuff.
You can borrow mine.
Ooh, I dropped my camera.
Yeah, but the question is that metric or?
This is both, you've got both imperial millimeters and metric millimeters on here.
So on the small one, I only used a single intermediary divider. So this is a 15-inch centers here. And on the big one, I used 2. So that's about 12 inches, give or take.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be enough there on the big one. That should be fine on your smaller one too. But you did use the big, the thicker,
right,
with the brace. So the hot glues are hearing that pretty good for you?
Yes. Once I remembered to turn on the power strip, it worked really well.
Yeah, yeah. Hot glue's better when it's hot than cold.
Yeah. Now I'll be getting rid of the spider webs from the glue for months on end now, but it's not like I use the kitchen for anything else. Kitchen being the only place in the house I actually had room to build these things.
Yeah. Too bad they're not flammable. You just take a lighter and go in there and hit them real quick. They'll disappear. I always like doing stuff like that. Not to say that I'm a firebug or anything, but
I hear you.
I don't know. It's just something about having a fast flash.
You played with aerosol flamethrowers when you were a kid, didn't you?
Actually, no, I didn't. I did some, but not that much.
I did. You know, that was a trick I never taught my sons, but they learned it somewhere. I went out a few years ago. My older son's about, I don't know, he was about 14. And messing around in the backyard, and I found this big wad of, I couldn't figure out what, and as I got to investigating, I realized it was a combination of toy army men and I don't know what else that had just been melted into this big conglomeration. I'm like, you know, somebody taught them.
Yeah.
Just glad the house was still standing.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot of things on YouTube.
That's true.
Including a few things you'll never be able to forget again.
Yeah, I recently discovered a channel on YouTube that it's just silly, but I love it to death. Called the Hammer Channel. Have any of y'all seen this?
No.
No.
This guy's got this giant sledgehammer that he has made. It's this big steel thing. It's on a handle that's probably 6 feet long. And he's got this mechanism for releasing it, and he just smashes stuff with it. And which sounds like something a 10-year-old boy would love. And so I guess that shows you kind of where my mentality is, because I've just enjoyed it to death.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Marty?
Yo.
You did your post on the Raspberry Pi with the Sprague. I know you put the video up, but would you like to give a short description all about it, or demonstration?
Where is it? It's over here. Yep, so I did a little video on how to put together one of the little Raspberry Pi DCC systems. So in that little box is a computer running JMRI, full version, so you can use all the features of it. It's Wi-Fi capable, so you can talk straight to your smartphone. So when we go to a show, all we need to run trains is that box and that device. That connects directly out of there to your track. Hey presto.
Now, how big a layout do you think that might be able to drive? Guys, only about what, 2 amps?
It's only a 2 amp DCC system, so you could get probably up to about 5 trains running, 4 to 5 trains. It's got the same similar power output to the base model Digitrack systems or NCE.
So if you're running about 30-40 feet, you should be okay then with it.
Yeah, well, we've run this at a couple of shows, and the layout is 10.5 meters long, and I've had radio reception up to nearly 150 meters away from the layout.
Wow.
Okay.
But yeah, great little device. We've been using them now at train shows since the beginning of the year. Used a slightly different version to this because it's actually out powering a Tam Valley booster, so we got a little bit more current on it.
Yeah. I was asked to present you full screen, so can you hold that back up where people can get a look at it again to make sure? I know you're out of focus too a little bit.
I think that American filter is messing up a little bit.
Oh, hang on, I'll turn it off and I'll reset it. Yeah, it's off at the moment. Now it's back on.
Well, that part's working.
Yeah, we're still got a focus issue because your workbench and everything's blurry.
How's that?
Yeah, that's doing better.
Yeah, so this guy here gives you a 2.5 amp output, but the other one we use at the club, these boards are made by a company in England called Sprague DCC, who make a little portable programmer, USB JMRI based programmer. I used to use those with the Raspberry Pi 2 and using the USB connections, but Sprague have now developed this board that plugs directly into the Raspberry Pi. So that means in the one box you can have your computer down here, which is, you know, a fairly hefty little PC, and it'll run JMRI without a problem at all. I mean, it's got a gigabyte of RAM on it already. It's running Raspberry, which is like a Linux version of the operating system. Then you've got this board plugged in the top, which is your 2.5 amp DC system, and also develops a DCC signal. So if you wanted to daisy chain it to other boosters to increase the power, you can just use this port here and daisy chain it to other boosters. So it could form the beauty that we like about it is with our club modules, we've actually built it into the layout. And that means when we go to a show, there's nothing to set up. You just plug you clip the layout together, plug the power into it, go make yourself a cup of coffee. By the time you come back, this thing's booted up, and you can start your mobile phone and start running trains.
All right, now does that fan come with that?
Yep, it comes with all power supplies, fan, everything ready to, all pre-configured, all ready to plug into a layout and start running trains.
And the cost on that?
Well, here in Aussie dollars, it's round about the 280, 290 mark. So convert that into American money and you're probably around the $200 mark.
Okay. And the Tam Valley booster, say just a 5 amp, would be what, another $80 if you need it?
Yeah, another $80 if you wanted to boost the power up. The thing I like about this one is if you're using accessory decoders to drive your points,
you're off camera. If
you're using your stationary decoders to drive points, what you can do is you can use the 2.5 amp output out of this to drive your point motors or your stationary decoders, and then use the signal into a Tam Valley booster to power your track. Now if someone drives through a point the wrong way and shorts the layout out, it'll stop the Tam Valley booster from going, but this output here will still be live, so you can still change your points over and remove the short without having to go out and move the loco.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if I was at shows, we're going to actually drive all our stationary decoders out of that port, and we're going to drive the trains out of this port.
Nice compact system.
Yep, no bigger than a deck of cards. If you're running N scale, you could run, you know, a fairly hefty layout with something this size.
Yeah. We got a nut in here by the name of Andy. He wrote in here 280 Aussie dollars. How many kangaroos will we need with the 200 US dollars? I don't have any reliable source for kangaroos anymore.
Maybe the weird question is, when did I ever have a reliable source for kangaroos? But still.
Yeah.
I was going to say, where are you getting kangaroos from?
Yeah. eBay.
Yeah, eBay. For one of those shady drop bears. Timothy was, Wyman was asking about the drop bears over there. I said, it's like, I don't understand why all you Aussies are such nice people live in a world where everything is trying to kill you. I guess that's what makes you guys such good model railroaders. You got to stay inside.
That's right. We can't go outside. Too many things that eat you outside. But yeah, so we're off to the Redland Bay train show this afternoon. So the trailer's all packed. I've just got to work out what trains I'm going to take up there to run over the weekend. And yeah, it'll be another 2 days of mirth and merriment and running trains.
And videos next week.
Video should be out next week. Yep. They're not a bad bunch of people, these guys that are running this show. They'll have a bit of a play.
Oh, I can't think of his name. You did a video at one of the shows with the guy outside in the parking lot. Is he going to be there?
Yeah, Adam, he'll be there. Yep.
Yeah, I like to see him on video more. He's a character.
He is. He runs a company called Whiskey Models, His name's Adam Whiskey. So, and believe it or not, he's a teetotaler.
Yeah.
But he does ready to run Queensland Rail stuff now, because Queensland Rail is on 3'6". A lot of the prototype modelers here model HO Queensland Rail on 12mm track, which is HOM, I think. So it's in between N scale track and HO track.
Yeah.
It's like 30-inch gauge, right?
Yeah, our main railway in Queensland is 3'6".
Okay, 3'6" gauge. That's right, not 30-inch, not HON 30. It's like HON 42.
Yeah, I think it's in the European speak. It's HOM.
Yep.
Here it's called 12mm. Which is rather ironic, because where I live they've just built a new light rail system, and the new light rail system is built on 4'8" gauge track, and the light rail system meets the heavy rail, but the heavy rail's 3'6". So go figure.
And actually, a lot of back in the day, and definitely, and mainly Pennsylvania, a lot of the railroads that ran in like the city areas were a different gauge. Actually, if you model Pittsburgh, a trolley railroad in Pittsburgh, it'd be a different size gauge, because they didn't want freight trains running through downtown. One of the reasons. Oh, it was a different size.
What's that you got showing there, Marty?
Well, this is the one that we usually use at the club shows, and as I said, it's got the smaller Sprog board in there, which just gives you a DC signal out. Doesn't give any. You can't run trains directly off this board, so this one has to go into a booster. So I mount the Tam Valley boosters inside a case.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was that first one you built.
Yeah, so this is the very first one that I did. And then I found these clear acrylic cases. So I went over to those. This one I 3D printed. But to 3D print these in the number I needed, it's going to take me about 6.5 months.
Yeah.
So on good old Evil Bay, I managed to find these for a few bucks, and only one person I've shown it to's complained that he reckons it looks too industrial. But then again, I said, what do you want it in? A sheepskin coat? It's a piece of electronics, not meant to be on display.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Timothy Wayman, he said not sure if anyone's seen my post earlier. Andy, I think I'm getting an echo back from you. He got his bridge in from Central Valley. Let's see here. Jerry said that, Marty, I imagine you guys have a lot of rail freight movement there, unlike England, because of your country's size. You're muted, Marty. We can't hear you.
We do, but nothing like you have in the US. There's about 2 hours drive from here is a place called Border Loop where we go rail fanning, and it's a bit like a mini Tehachapi. It's coming up the Great Dividing Range, which keeps the inhabitable part of the East Coast away from the desert, and it scrolls up through there and is a bit of a loop. Now we'll go down there and spend a day there, and we might see 3 trains. Whereas if I go anywhere I've been on the States, you stop for 10 minutes and you got about 4 trains go past.
Yeah.
It depends on what line you are. So, do you have any pictures of it you can show us of that?
No, I can bring it up on Google Earth.
Okay.
But rail traffic here isn't that big. It's big when you go up north and when you get up to the mines, where they run the biggest trains in the world, coming out of the Pilbara and the iron ore stuff. But when it gets down to domestic rail travel, like when things come to Brisbane, there was only about 15-20 years ago they actually got a 4'8" standard gauge line running up the east coast, because before you had 3 different gauges. So if you wanted to send something from Brisbane to say Melbourne down south, you'd have to go through 3 different gauges of trains before you got there. So that meant either swapping the bogies out under all the rolling stock, or actually everyone getting off and transferring everything onto another train.
And that's how it was back in the day originally. A long, long time ago, Civil War down here where we were.
It was like that here about 15 years ago. So that makes it a little bit difficult. Like coming up to Brisbane, there's a standard gauge track that runs all the way up now, but there's only one line on it. It's not even a dual line.
Well, what you working on, Ron?
Nothing very interesting. I'm running this little giveaway contest, and I'm making numbers for a drawing that I'm anticipating this weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I can see what you're doing, but you look like you was kind of intense on it.
Well, not as much as I might look, but I do have something I'd like to ask some of you brilliant electronics experts. I'm getting an echo. I'm going to see if I can get rid of it. I used Luke Talon's couple of videos that he made, I don't know, a year or so back on making a static grass applicator. Anybody ever built one of these things for yourself?
No.
Andy.
Yeah, I think Andy has, but he's not here right now.
And Andy skipped out. I may wait till let's see if Andy comes back and ask him about it. I built the thing, and of course the heart of it is a negative ion generator, which I happen to love because it makes me feel like I'm you know, making weapons for the Millennium Falcon or something. But I put the thing together and it doesn't work. I'm getting very low voltage through, you know, where I should be getting high voltage out, you know, between the ground and the screen. I'm getting pretty low voltage, and I'm curious if somebody's got some ideas. I've got a theory in mind. I wonder if I
cross the wires.
Just have. Well, no, I think the wires. I've gone over them like 10 times. I wonder now. You know, I'm all about doing things on the cheap if I can. And I bought a negative ion generator from China and literally paid 99 cents for it. And I'm wondering if I've just got either a substandard ion generator, or I've trying to study to see if there's ways that the output is rated on these things, and I really don't see that information anywhere. And I'm no means an expert. It's the first time I've ever messed with one.
The negative ion generators do have different outputs on them.
Well,
I actually started to make my own, and I ended up going and buying myself a cheap Chinese one for $30. That worked really well.
The generator itself you're talking about?
Yeah, the static grass applicator. Hang on, I'll see if I can find it. Hang on.
Yeah, 'cause I was looking to build one, and I was going to do it like Luke Talon did. 'Cause I like everything being separate.
Right.
I'd found one on eBay. It was a it was a 40,000 volt ion generator, so that should stand up probably about a 15 mil grass.
Well, I'm just getting almost very, very low voltage out of this thing, and I'm thinking I must have and again, there's really nothing on this ion generator that I bought that's telling me what the output of it really is. The only thing I have to go on is what I'm getting out of my multimeter, which is pretty stinking low. You know, I've got a cheap battery powered static grass applicator, and you know, that thing, it cranks out the volts.
Yeah.
But this is not doing it. So
well,
I'm thinking that's got to
be out of a mosquito swatter.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. I've seen several videos on those.
Now I bought this off eBay. I think it was $40.
Is that battery powered, or is it? Do you plug it in?
It's battery powered. So you have a button on the side here. You push. And grass, and then but you can't measure the output of one of these with a multimeter. This thing's pushing out 20,000 volts. Your multimeter's just going to fry itself when it sees that voltage. It's just going to go, no way, I can't measure that, and fluctuate all over the joint. What you want to look for is a healthy spark. If I give you a charge, I don't know if you'll see this on the. Can you see the size of the arc?
Right, yeah, I can see.
And that's about the only way you're going to tell how much power they're putting out. I've noticed with this one, when the battery starts to get just a little flat, the grass will no longer stand up properly.
Yeah.
But this thing will do up to 10 mil grass without a problem when it's got a good battery in it.
Well, and if this thing I'm building doesn't work out, I mean, I've got one of the, I think this came from Micromark. And honestly, it's about the same version as what you've got, with the exception of it's got this little basket for the static grass, and it is a pain. You can spill it. It's just, I don't like it at all. But I'm thinking about rebuilding it, and you know, using a container like the one I've used on the one that I built here.
Yeah, just cut the lid out of a jar.
See,
or something like that.
I've already done that on this.
Yep.
One. What I was trying to do, and I thought I'd be brilliant and make a great video on this, I was trying to build this about 99% with stuff I already had laying around in my garage, which has worked really well, except for the ion generator, which is not working at all. So
I've got a pretty good assortment of random parts laying around, but I don't keep a negative ion generator just laying around.
No, that was the one thing I had to order, and you missed when I started talking about that, Andy. I tried to do this on the cheap, so I literally found one that I could buy from China for 99 cents. It cost me $5 to ship it, so for $6 I thought, man, that's real reasonable. But I'm getting no voltage out of it, hardly at all. That battery one, like you said, it'll spark like crazy. This one, I can't get a spark out of it all. That's why I stuck the multimeter on it, and I'm just getting very, very low voltage output from it.
Now, Ron, I can tell you, there is a way of testing that on the output, because Andy's got a tester, and it works real good. He just let his wife play with it.
Yeah, I can
see
tell
how loud she says "ow."
Well, I can tell how. Yeah, that's right. I can tell how fresh the batteries are by how loud the squeal is. Because
I can tell you this makes me jump even when it's got flat batteries in it.
Yeah, but the batteries, I heard you say, Marty, and I wholeheartedly agree that I have to use. I can use the batteries for a fairly brief amount of time before I have to put new batteries in it. They're still good batteries for any other purpose, but that applicator requires. So I like the idea of batteries. I really do, because it gives you more flexibility to move about the layout. But would I rebuild mine again? Because I'm for two reasons. But one, I want to go to a power source. With a, with a little barrel cord, a little light wire, to a power brick of some kind. Which you can get their battery powered, convert it to a 3-volt power source or a 6-volt power source, or whatever you need. I like the little thing, like what you got, Rod, that little basket for certain applications, especially for doing things like where I want to mix the color of grass. So what I'll do is use a stick. And I will in different colorations, different sizes, and then use that stick to kind of stir them through the applicator, and then just pitch more grass over into it.
Yeah, Ron lost his internet.
See that?
He'll be back.
What's up, Chris?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Hey, Chris.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good evening. Good evening / afternoon.
What you working on now, Lord?
As you can see, not much.
Yeah, I saw you cutting windows out just now.
Yeah, I'm working on a mountain lumber company sawmill. It's a huge building, and I had to shrink it by, well, I'd say almost 45% to make it fit. So yeah, I've been playing around with that.
Yeah.
So right now there's stuff gluing, drawing right now. But I do have a question though.
All right.
Let me get that piece. That cone thing there at a sawmill, what is that?
That's the sawdust burner. For burning off the sawdust.
But if I'm going to send the sawdust to the paper mill, then I don't need that, right?
Well, that's the fine sawdust, not the chips.
It's an incinerator, and a lot of times they'll use it to power the plant. So scraps that they can't saw, raisins and the knots and the limbs and the well, they won't get a lot of limbs, but the random miscellaneous scraps, they'll incinerate them, and even as far back as the 1950s, they would generate electricity off of those smokers or steam for heat. So a lot of times they have, which, and I think is cool, model creator, because steam is coming over from it that you can make out of out of the scrap sprues that we get, chop them up, sand some sprues down, make you a couple steam pipes coming over.
Okay, and what is this made out of usually? Steel? Corrugated steel?
Brick. Most of the time I've seen them, they've been made out of brick, or they are a cast concrete. Normally.
I don't know if I can figure out what color.
Yeah, the ones in the mall kits, though, Andy, they pretty much try. I think they those are representing the metal ones. I've seen metal ones that are perforated, have holes all around them just for the smoke to come on out while they're burning off the sawdust.
Looks like there's. It looks like they're panels. I guess I don't know if they're steel panels or can't be concrete panels. It's not bricks.
No, if it's got panel lights on it, it's made out of steel.
Steel. So it's
which would be a more modern incinerator.
Yeah, the ones built back in the 40s, 50s, 30s, whatever, I tend to see those made out of brick. Then they went to cast concrete at some point. And then they have steel ones now. I have the biggest woodwork manufacturer, at least in the state of Kentucky, one of the biggest in the millworks, rather, in the United States, is have their plant where they receive logs and they make stair treads and all this stuff, and they have an incinerator, and it looks like that, and it's concrete, cast concrete. It's like 80 years old, and it's just a big concrete cone, but they pull the steam off from it, and it's piped all through this facility. This facility is like a half a mile wide in one direction, and however, it's a huge, huge facility, and they pipe the steam all over that place. They produce electricity from it. They heat buildings with it when they can. They're very utilitarian.
All right, well, Ron's back. Looks like he's got a good internet connection. What else there, Lloyd? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, no, that was one of the questions I had. That's about it.
All right, well, Ron's back, so Andy, if you want to give him that quick answer on that small basket on the static grass, on how you use it. I know he missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that little basket for certain applications. Now, if I'm doing a big area, or especially like a big hillside, or large grass, which I've had a hard time with the basket, I'm going to build one like Luke Towan did. I've got all the parts to do it with. I just haven't put it together yet, so I can do the larger grass. But for the I did something that I just love the basket for, where I varied the color and sizes of the grass follicles. So, and I would mix it in. I mix a little bit of a 2-inch or 2 mil in of a brighter green for the low growth, and then I'll mix in some green for some of the sections. And then as it got to the top of the hill, I would start mixing in more and more of the brown grass. And all I do is hold it always on, just pitch in the grass without touching the basket, and then use a skewer. It's
Breaking up.
Yeah, he lost his internet.
through the basket, which
Yeah, I think he's lost it again. But what he's mainly saying is he likes to use the basket where he's doing small areas, and just basically use a wood skewer to stir in the basket so the grass falls out.
Oh, we get him back in here. I want to ask him about the specific ion generator that he's got for the one that he's building, because that, I'm sure, I mean, I'd like to have both of these. I'd like to keep my basket one, even if I do modify it, but I'd like to have this bigger one. And
have you got Harbor Freight near you?
Not real close, but I could get to one.
Well, what you need to do is go online and sign up for their email notifications, because you got the holiday weekend coming up, and they're going to have 20% off coupons, and they usually have free stuff. Now here lately this year they quit giving away the fly swatter, but they've been giving away that electronic fly swatter that people use to make a static grass applicator. But you got the 20% coupon, so you just use that and just go buy you one.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Yeah, I know Ken Patterson made a video a while back about that. He was the first one that I saw do that.
Well, Luke Towan.
Fly swatter.
Yeah, y'all check out Luke Towan's YouTube. You'll have to scroll back a ways, but he built a nice one too.
Right. Well, that's where I got the idea, that's what I built mine after. Was Luke had that 2-part video, and that's what I used as a guide on mine. But he doesn't really describe the ion generator. Andy, I see you're back. Tell me what, or maybe send me a link, something. The problem I think I have with the one that I've built is I think I've got either too small or a substandard ion generator. It all seems to be functioning, other than the voltage output is very low. And I can't think of what else the issue would be.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the ion generator, of course, is to produce that massive 20,000 to 30,000 volts of power off the next it's a glorified transformer of sorts, but it,
Right.
it produces that electrostatic charge. And they're made, of course, like everything else, they're made by the lowest bidder in Taiwan. And, there's plenty of bad ones out there. They're relatively cheap.
Yeah, but where did you get yours?
By what you're saying, it's probably not a good unit.
Where did you get yours? That's what he wanted to know.
Where did I get mine? Yeah, where did you get yours, Andy?
I'm pretty sure I got it from the one I've got laying here to build this other one with came from AliExpress. I'll have to go look and see, but it's the same place. You're ultimately getting it whether you get it from eBay or AliExpress or wherever you're getting it from. Some random place in Taiwan or China. I may have got it from eBay, like the one Martin's showing there. Mine looks identical to that.
Okay, they're the ones here.
I think I got it from AliExpress. I'm a big fan of them because the stuff's so cheap. But
right.
Yeah, mine looks identical.
What I went with. Cheap is what I went with. I think that's what got me in trouble. I literally gave 99 cents. I paid far more to ship it than I did to buy it.
Yeah, I think I paid 8 or 10-ish, something in that neighborhood. And it cost me something like that to get it shipped. But all in, I was in, $20. So, it cost me a little bit more for the parts, but I got a handful of free sour cream with it. So, I'm all in for $25 or something. But the ion generator is the majority, is pretty much the entirety of the price.
Right. Well, literally the ion generator, the switch, and everything else I had laying around my house. Those are the only two things I had to purchase. So I was really looking forward to bragging about having built this thing for like $3. But that's not going to happen at this point. It looks like, so I'm going to have to invest in something a little bit better on the ion generator side.
That would be pretty impressive for $3.
You won't be able to measure your output of your ion generator with your multimeter, and I wouldn't advise using it.
Right.
Because you'll probably.
Well, I only did that when I knew I wasn't. I only even tried that when I knew I wasn't getting anything out of this one. I mean, like you say, I tried the spark test, and it's like you weren't doing a thing. I'm like, something's not right here. So it does get a little bit.
The 20,000 volts that thing's pumping out, if it does go into your meter, it's not the damage, because the meter should just say it's too high and not measure it. But because it's such a high voltage, you'll get arcing inside the meter between different components.
Right.
Just the principle of how that thing works, it would cause that arcing inside. I don't, really good meters would have a limiter, protector on it, but any reasonably priced sub-$100 meter, I don't even know if a multi-$100 fluke meter could protect from that.
No, the fluke ones they won't erupt. You might kill it, but they won't erupt. Because they're tested to, I think they're tested to 40,000 volts to Cat 3, 1,000 volt range. So you won't get any arcing faults in there, you'll just fry the electronics.
Jerry's got a question in here. It kind of changes the topic, but his question is: anyone use DAP, patch, and paint instead of Woodland and Scenics products for pavement and scenery?
I did my roads recently out of that concrete patch, like Kid Patterson did, and I think it does. Not what he's talking about, spackle, but I use the DAP concrete patch, and it looks great for a country road where it's going to be dirty, etc. Now, the city section that I'm going to be working on soon, I'm going to go back to using DAP spackle because I can scratch it and get better surfaces for concrete, for city concrete streets. I think spackle makes as good a road as any material I've found, short of using Monster Model Works wood sheets. But it's too hard. You can't curve them around. So I'm still undecided as to whether to use the spackle or to use Monster Model Works for the city streets. And And then my first module was entirely styrofoam, sanded, and then spackled. And that would just spackle some gaps. I didn't use the scenery goop on my first module. I was just going to do styrofoam and spackle. It just required way too much work to actually get a decent surface. So I ended up leading, or too much time. So I started using the scenery goop. So I shaved my styrofoam down and then put a skin of scenery goop over it.
Yeah, because without any of those, I tried just joint compound. I did a road crossing at the store across double tracks, and yeah, it was thick on the grade part on each side of the tracks. Come back next week and looked like it had a major earthquake because it cracked real bad. Now I found out you have to put it down in about 1/16 layers to keep it from cracking. But I just ripped it all up. We had open jug of the Woodland Scenics, oh, what was that called? It's not the Hydrocal, but the other one.
Smooth it.
Yeah, smooth.
If you make
Smooth
it,
it,
yeah.
Yeah, I use that smooth it. Boy, that I got a really good road out of that. Now, Timothy Wayman said he's used plaster of Paris too.
Yeah, but all of those, so especially a patching plaster or a wallboard plaster, like what you use first, they will shrink. So it is very difficult to make them not crack. You could baby them through the process and do things, but ultimately they shrink. A hydrocal will not, a hydrocal or a Duracal or something. I think Smooth It is a Duracal or one of those like that.
Yeah.
One of those variants of hydrocal. They don't shrink nearly as much, so they make a pretty good method. I still think for making roads, spackle is a vinyl compound, so it'll shrink, sure, but it'll stretch, and it's semi-porous.
Yeah, because that smooth that I put down, that's been down 2 years plus, and it hasn't shrunk at all.
Yeah, no, they work. I think that's one of those. It starts with, it's like hydrocal, but it starts with a D, I think, or it's a hydrocal mixture, and they shrink very, very, very little. And other than the fact that they don't take impact, or that your base you couldn't carry them, portable, that. Otherwise, Smooth It's a good product.
All right. Somebody said, Robert Holloman's asking, what is the scenery goop? That is, you can look it up. Andy can tell you exactly where to look it up, who came up with it. But Andy uses his version of it. I've used it by the recipe, but it's mostly just, well, the recipe calls for celluclay, which is kind of expensive. You can get the 40% off coupon for Hobby Lobby, and that brings it down about $15 for a 5-pound bag, which will make a lot of scenery goop. But it's basically scenery goop, a brown paint, latex paint, to represent an earth color. And I know it calls for white glue in there to, just give it some strength. What else am I leaving out, Andy?
Vermiculite, vermiculite.
Vermiculite, the fine vermiculite, to give it some coarseness like the dirt. Now, Andy likes the flexibility, so he leaves the glue out.
I do. I like it to plant trees in.
Yeah, I've used it, and if you put the glue in there, it's hard. You're not going to be able to push your tree in. But I found using an awl, and I just push it in. It goes in just fine. I've planted trees on this stuff where I've used it, so.
Well, the place where I tried the wood glue, it's all of my nicer trees have pins or nails at the bottom of it. So it's if I use an awl for that, for where the T-pins go in, they rock and they're it's not stable. So if I leave the glue out, it's easy to just push those in, no problem. Or if you reduce the glue quantity, also I have a method for changing the contents of that up. So as opposed to vermiculite, zonalite is probably a better and more consistent texture material to add to it. I haven't tried that yet. But Miles Hill recently was talking about using blow-in insulation, essentially paper composite insulation. You can buy a bale, like a literal bale of that stuff, for like $10. So that's a lifetime supply. And for what we need, we don't need the plaster that's in the celluclay. Celluclay has a little bit of plaster in it, and I'd rather not have that. So I'm all about trying the paper-based blow-in insulation, and just buy a big bundle of it for $10.
Yeah, you probably cover 100 layouts with that, being that big a
Oh,
bale.
yes.
That's a big bale. I mean, it is big.
Yeah, I mean it's you know, it's as big as a man can carry. It's quite a few pounds. And I went through 2 bags of celluclay, and I'm not very far into my second bag, and I've covered 2 foot wide, 60 running feet, and I covered absolutely everything. So, and I filled in some thick gaps, and I've cut some of it out and remodeled some as the processes went along. So it covers a lot. Jerry Ashley asked if you could pre-mix latex paint with Smooth It, and you can't generally use a latex product in combination with a plaster without seriously degrading its adhesive and structural bond. So it'll break down, it'll crack, it won't harden correctly. What you can use is a paint pigment material. Either a dry pigment like tempera paint would work, or if you go to the art supply store, or even Lowe's, actually, they have a little tube. They're a little expensive. They're like $13, but it's like a little bitty travel tube of toothpaste, and all you need is literally touch the end of it with a skewer and get a little bit of that pigment off and add it to your spackle or your Smooth It or your plaster, and you can stain your plaster. And if I use plaster, I would always stain it. But I hate working with plaster. Despise it.
Yeah, you put it down, you still have to sand it, and that gives you a lot of dust.
Yep. And if you crack it, so I mean, even if you're doing rock castings, tinting the plaster with either tempera paint or better yet, one of the paint pigment materials, it'll work. Yeah. Rod Bright said a water-based paint would work. It would. You gotta stay away from latex. So a watercolor paint would work as a supplement to the amount of water that you add. But I would experiment before I went and put it down permanently on the layout, because it will manipulate the setting of the plaster. Tempera paint seems like a real safe bet to me. But I got that little tube of concrete pigment or something like that.
Yeah, and also a good thing about that ground goop is you put it in one of those, like Timothy here is talking about, put it in an airtight sealable container, Tupperware container or whatever, and even if it's been a month, it may start to dry out a little bit, but you add a little water to it and it comes right back up.
I made that the middle of 2016, and I still, because I'm not in the mode of doing a lot of sear, and I made that the middle of 2016. It's still just as moist as you would ever want to, as you would want to work with. I mean, it's just as good as it was the day I made it, and I've had it really close to a year in this container, because I make it in I make a full gallon of it roughly at a time. So.
Yeah, that's what, a potato salad container?
Plaster of Paris, unfortunately. I'm growling about plaster. That's why I turned it this way. I said this to somebody. I think me and Ralph were having one of our typical arguments back and forth, enjoying the process of disagreeing with each other like we do. And working with plaster, I have nothing against the end results of plaster. I think you can do as good a work with plaster as anything else there is out there. I just hate working with this stuff. So I tried several techniques. I swore I was not doing plaster on the slab, period. One, it won't hold up to the very lightweight methodologies I'm using, and I just didn't want to do it. So, so I'm pretty much anti-plaster, and I started out doing just the spackle, and I'd love to have done it that way. I just, you know, it was just way too hard to work and way too labor intensive to sand all the styrofoam to get a finish on it. Whereas with this, I could skim coat it and get a perfect finish. It has a color immediately, and it has a texture immediately. And I dust it with dirt immediately and push the dirt into the scenery goo. So I'll build, you know, carve down the styrofoam to the shape that I want, real close to the shape I want. I'll fill in a few gaps or whatever, and then I will scrape an 1/8 inch of scenery goop over the whole thing, and then I will dust it with dirt, and I'll use this wallpaper seam roller and roll the dirt into it if I want a smooth surface, like if I'm working a road or something, or I'll pack it in with my fingers to give it the undulations, that natural undulations I want. I can take styrofoam and start carving on it, and when I'm done carving on it, you know, an hour of carving out a mountain, I slap scenery goop on it, I cover it with dirt, and in an hour and a half, 2 hours, I can go from blocks of styrofoam glued together to a completely dirt-covered module 8 foot long in a couple hours.
Yeah, also I remember too, I couldn't find the small vermiculite, and I wound up buying this big 3 or 4 bushel bag, which is a large vermiculite. I still put it in the ground goop, but what I found was, after it been in there for a week, the vermiculite did break down into smaller pieces, so it still worked out just fine. So if you wind up with a big vermiculite, just mix it up, let it sit a week if you got that kind of time, and go back, try it again.
Yeah, I think it's like I think scenery goop's kind of like chili. It's better the next day. So if I just about won't use scenery goop right away. If I plan on doing some scenery work tomorrow and I'm running low, I will mix up the batch today so that vermiculite and everything can all soak together. It works much better after it's had a night of kind of seasoning.
Yeah, it's kind of like a good bowl of soup or chili. You make it the day before and eat it the next day.
Yep, gets much better the next day.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm going after some more building materials for my suspended island thing that we're going to do, hanging my island from the ceiling. I'm going after some more parts this weekend or something. I'll go over there. I'm going to buy me a big bag of fluid insulation, so I will report back soon on how well that works with the scenery goop. But Miles was mixing plaster of Paris with it and effectively making his own sculpt mold. So can't imagine a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah. As long as you get the results you're looking for or want.
That's it. That's right. The guys in chat give me a hard time about plaster art. Timothy Wayman's spackle does have a gypsum product in it, or a kaolin derived product of some kind. I'll grant you that. And if I had found a better technique for making roads than spackle, or I use that concrete patching material, which is, I'm sure that can't think there's any gypsum in that product, and I like it real well. Ken Patterson used, he gets real good results out of it. I just don't love it for extremely foreground seeds, but as far as I can stay away from plaster, I will. But if I have to use it some, like spackle's not such an awful experience, but mixing plaster and trying to force yourself through that really tight time schedule to work with plaster is just miserable to me. So my next rock casting work is going to be done with the vinyl and foam system from Bragdon Industries. I'm going to build my rocks that way from now on.
Yeah, John just popped in. How you doing, John? See, Chris is working on his stack, I guess.
Yeah, I'm working on my mounts, so I'm putting standoffs on this so that I can secure all my stacks, as Johnny calls them, on here.
Okay.
So when I mount it, I don't have any problem with the boards having to move or fall off or anything like that. So I'm working on that right now.
You're muted, Martin.
Bit like a Marshall stack, eh?
Yeah, right.
A bit.
But hey, it's compact. I'd rather it be compact than have boards all over the place. So
And a rigid configuration so that it's, you know, it's solid. You know, I'm going about mine in a box too, but I don't want some big mess. I've got mine stacked up like yours as well. I've just got to add the network adapter to it whenever it comes in.
Yeah,
So
Timothy Wayman, real quick, says, heck, Andy, the area you're doing, they were lucky to have gravel roads. LOL.
and I'm modeling Appalachia. So Appalachia these days, they got concrete everywhere, man. They enjoyed their coal money in the 70s. They enjoyed it real well. Coal road or concrete roads everywhere. But in 1950, there's a lot of dirt roads in Appalachia. And most of the roads on my layout are gravel roads. And I use that little roller and I put them down with grout, white grout. Then come back and use dust with what.
Yeah, lost Andy.
We shall never know what he dusts them with.
Yeah, we may not want to know either.
I was gonna say, do you really want to know?
Inquiring minds want to know.
You don't remember curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, but satisfaction brought it back.
Unfortunately, satisfaction was the name of a prostitute who just happened to see the cat.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is Lloyd's favourite part of the day. It's time for Marty to have some lunch.
Again?
No, there's going to be no response.
You really got to stop eating so much lunch.
He only does it once a week.
I only do it once a day.
That's not what I was told.
It's all right. I had breakfast earlier on with Miles.
Thanks for the invite.
It was BYO cornflakes.
Just when you think a guy's your friend.
Oh, come on. Have you got that sandwich yet or mailed to you?
No. Probably went to Hong Kong.
Well, that thing's going to be ripe when it gets there, though.
Oh, right. I'm not even going to open the box.
The box will open itself.
Right. Very good point.
It's self-delivering.
Yeah, just don't pay attention to all the legs sticking out the bottom, making it move.
This is not the truth.
Oh, so it's a huntsman sandwich, huh?
Send some redbacks over to keep him company. There's one thing someone sent me on Facebook which I thought might be interesting, and it's these portable hobby cases for when you go to a show or you go and do clinics somewhere. I was looking at the
I need a
MT2.
You got to share the link?
Yeah, you won't want to buy one of these when you find out what the price is.
He's not going to give you
What
the
is
link.
it? $12?
Well,
15 bucks?
Probably like 1,200.
Yeah.
see that MTO2, the one the mouse is going around?
Yeah.
That's 640 Australian dollars delivered.
Yeah, that's a little high.
They could keep it for that price.
I'd like to have that like Model 5 or Model 4 down there. I mean, I travel and take stuff with me when I travel to work, to model with. So I'd love to have one of those, like the 4 or the 5, if it was, anything. So, anything around $200, I'd pay that.
Well, there's no one that imports them into Australia. I don't know if anyone's bringing them into the US, but they're from Spain.
Kind of figured that, hence all the Vallejo paintballs. That's where Vallejo comes from.
Right. And then they got all these accessories that you can customize your own. I mean, great idea, but very expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know how, they're not very friendly. They don't even have an English translation on their website, so I have to run it through Google Translate to read it.
And I've had a look online. No one's selling, like, they're not on eBay or anywhere.
I think I'll try to look, see if they'll ship to the US. That's pretty interesting. Briefcase Workshop.
Become a dealer and sell them to yourself.
Yeah, I don't give myself really good discounts though. So.
Well, you can't be so hard on yourself, bud.
Yeah, but I got to make a profit too. So. I really like these. It's really cool. Portable spray booth. That's crazy.
Yeah, the hotel love you with that.
Yeah. I think I'll skip that. Yeah, I need a room with easy window access. Is what I need. So they're gonna ask way too many questions. I see that coming. They got some really cool little bench top accessories though too, like the brush holder. They got it's pretty neat.
Did you put that in the chat, Martin?
Sorry?
Did you put that in the chat?
Yeah. See, for the same price, you could buy that. Now, that's a better hobby case to go to shows with.
Yeah, that's going to be. I think Southwest Airlines is really going to have a problem with that, though.
Won't allow it on as carry-on. I'll get it under the seat.
Yeah. I may have to unbolt the seat to get it under it.
Vandy, you have to remember, he lives in the land of train shows. He doesn't have to get on a plane to go to a train show.
Oh, I got to get on planes. I'll be flying up to Amherst this year.
No, I know. I'm just saying, Martin doesn't. They have a train show every other week down there.
We're off to one this afternoon.
See?
That's so awesome.
But yeah, you can put your rolling stock, store your bits and pieces in there, tools in the top, and then there's the lid that folds out as a workbench.
I wouldn't mind having that here since I've got a dedicated spot set up right now for work, but as I extend my railroad, I'm not going to have room for them to go away. What'd you search for on eBay, Martin, to find that one?
Just road case. It's not bad, really. I mean, it's $700 for that one, and it's free click and collect at Woolworths.
They still have Woolworths?
Yeah. Do you have that with your eBay purchases over there? Woolworths is like our Woolworths here, or it's called Big W, is a bit like your Walmart. And eBay have got a thing where you can buy stuff and you click and collect, so you can actually go to the store and collect it.
I don't think we have any place like that. I don't know.
When you look at an eBay screen like this one, it's got some collection, new free click and collect at Woolworths.
We can't see screen, it's black.
Is it? Huh. What's happened there? Okay. That, and then click that one, and then click that one. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
So on your eBay page, it's got the click and collect thing. So you just select the store. Well, that one's walking distance from my place. Just click that, and then when you buy it, it gets delivered to the store. You get an email message, a text message on your phone, and go and pick it up.
Well, has anybody got anything else they want to talk about? If not, I think we'll wind this one up, kind of coming up on the 1.5 hour mark.
I had a small operating session today.
Yeah?
Yeah, though I didn't get any pictures of it. It was mainly to test out the Conway control panel with another operator. Just trying to figure. He was the, let's say, the test dummy. That my friend, they get it figured out, and we found a couple problems with track. Though I fixed it with dropping some new wire leads and put in some and restripped some wires and their stuff and put new things on them. And one of the blocks weren't working. I figured that out just now.
Alright.
Those were mainly the problems we had. We pretty much figured everything. Oh, we also had to put an arrow up on one of the switches. Because I couldn't put the switch next to the switch. I had to put it above it. And you couldn't find it really easy. We just put an arrow up there to help people. We're in pretty much good. Because now I gotta get this rest done and get all the other stuff I need to get done, including the article for the EMAG. I almost done. I got a lot of it done. Just gotta get it all typed up now.
Well, you're getting short on deadlines, so.
When is that supposed? He's going to do Operation 1 for the EMAG.
Last I heard, the expedition was on passenger trains. Operations will be coming up after that, but I'm not sure right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on getting it done this week. Next week, probably I'll work on it some. Now I got a couple of stuff I gotta do. I got a whole list. I still gotta restage the layout after this.
Yeah, you need to get that article done. JD, come pay you a visit.
He can come to visit though. It might get rock salt. Get some rock salt.
Yeah. He come down and make sure you write his article for him.
Yeah, though he would have to figure out how to get on the property first and find my address.
We have ways of finding you, sir.
Alrighty. Well, I guess
I'll let you get going. I'll let you end the show.
Now.
Have How generous of him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Josh cuts me a little slack every now and then. Not much, but a little bit.
Oh, maybe in a little bit I'll go in the other side of the room. Don't kick me out.
Yeah. Well, when the show's over, everybody's going back to the main room anyway. So, the show's fixing to be over. Alrighty. Let's get over here to the good old advertising page. I want to say go to YouTubeMallBuilders.com. There you can check the schedules for the Tuesday and Wednesday shows. Those are at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Also the Thursday and the Saturday once a month live show. Those are at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. And you can also click on the eMag. Be sure and sign up for email notification. So when JD and his team get the mag ready, they'll send you out an email notification. You can download it as a PDF, so pretty much carry it with you on any kind of device and read it when you want to. Let's see, what we got coming up here? I have got nothing for next week, so except for the Thursday show. Then we September the 6th, we have the Arduino workshop with Chris, and he will be starting the speedometer. And we've posted the list of materials. They've been pinned to the top of the community page for pretty much a week, so hopefully everybody wants to build that have ordered the parts and have gotten them in, or they should be coming in almost any time now for you. So that's going to be an interesting show. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but Chris said he's planning on having a special guest. I'm not sure if it's this show or his next show, but he will have a special guest, and that ought to be really interesting too. So be sure and turn in and watch. So with that said, all our shows too, by the way, I'll do a quick reminder, are recorded, and they are on the YouTube page, YouTube Mall Builders. They are in playlist, so you can go back if you missed the show or came in late and be able to rewatch it again. So with that said, I guess I shall see y'all next week, next Thursday, and September the 6th will be the Arduino workshop. So y'all have a good night, and we'll see you later. Have a good weekend too. Bye.
Good night, Johnny.